Yeah, she's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
2412.
Veteran crisis hotline's calling in, so they have a female veteran off her medication. She's at work to safe haven. Attacking 12, we'll check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-1 start, take your shots.
Officer still stands for talk? No. Offender in custody? Temporary with the... Thanks. Anyone else close, wait to see what's up, let me know. Come first, standoff. 10-4. Someone shot there. Alright, the ET doesn't take pictures of the, is it domestic related? She's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
2412.
Veteran crisis hotline calling in, so they have a female veteran off her medication. She's at work to safe haven. Detective, check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-1 start, take your shots.
That is the entrance that you can take into the historic lobby.
Conducting a PSPH and Echelon Red. Jacob Vidal or Jacob Mark. Jacob. 15301 Valley Vista Boulevard, Sherman.
No, there's like a little, foyer before you get to the door, so I doubt they broke in. Yep.
Good morning, good evening, whatever it may be for you. What's up? I've been watching this all freaking day. I figure, you know what, I'm just going to be watching it all night. I might as well just go live. So give me 1 second, because StreamYard is all buggy with the Chrome browser. I need to pull all this stuff back up again, so just give me one moment here. Be bringing you different camera angles here.
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
Yes, we're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard. Engagement, the federal truth. We'll see what happens. If insurrection or less than that, we're going to have law and order. Very important. Look at the site. You have to see what's happening. Last night in... There was a lot of violence, and it could have gotten much worse. And you have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train stations that he's building. Like 20 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So I did call him the other night. I said, look, you got to take care of this, otherwise I'm sending in the troops. That's what we do. Thank you very much. You have a question for Marco? Question for Marco? Question for Marco?
California officials could face federal charges if they stand in the way of the deportation. Something that Poland may have suggested.
If officials stand in the way of law and order, yeah, they will face charges. Thank you very much.
Right now is a live aerial look from Skyfox over downtown Los Angeles, where there is still that heavy police presence right now.
Yeah, there's fires going on still.
As unlawful assembly has been declared.
Throwing rocks. That's 11:44. All right, you know what? I'm gonna put you in my pocket. Look, I'll keep the stream on. I'm gonna put you in my pocket for a second. I also gotta make a couple phone calls. So I'm gonna mute it, keep it in my pocket, and then The dumpsters are still on fire over here.
It's very brief once again, but he did say Trump's border czar is threatening to arrest me for speaking out. Come and get me, tough guy. I don't give a damn. It won't stop me from standing up for California.
Come get me,
Moments
tough
later,
guy.
we also heard
What?
from President Trump on
What?
Truth Social very early this morning. He said,
Come
quote,
get me, tough
looking
guy.
really bad in LA. Bring in the troops. Arrest the people in face masks now. Again, we do have this live image that we've been keeping a look at from Sky Fox, one of the few that are still up at this hour, because we are not going anywhere until we see how everything does play out here. It does appear the crowds have dispersed, but for the most part, you can see there is still a bit of activity. We're taking a look on your screen as they do zoom in. Looks like that is...
Yeah, there's another fire going on too
yeah,
over
they're
here.
behind us though.
Another fire going on over here. They're shooting off fireworks up there, top right. Let me see. We got Sky News up here with a helicopter.
Like a half mile.
We'll be switching through all these different feeds here for you guys.
But you got room.
And we got the live scan on.
Okay.
Of course, Tech Death. You know that. You know a lot of these people are hired. There they are. You know they're hired. It ain't the first time, right? Alright, let me see here. I know there's some others that are out there on the ground as well.
I got him.
And
George said what?
East 191 710 White Dodge Ram unknown plate. East 191 710 East 12348.
I don't think you know George.
Solid 7-0 Tom copy.
7-0 Tom copy.
They're putting the fire.
6 for the 929 on Eastman.
that one's not out there anymore. Close that down.
1148. Yeah.
Information service 23-110, broadcast 33 East 105 to the southbound 110. Suspect vehicle the black Honda sedan, 7 William Paul Norris 095. They drew a glass model out of passerby. East 105 to the southbound 110, teammates 12349. One code 67929 on Eastman. And there's just 679 on Eastman.
Sorry, I'm trying to flip through these here. StreamYard's being buggy as shit.
They
Oh,
said
wow. Hold
the
on a minute.
FBI is seeking information about a man who assaulted a federal officer and caused damage to government property in LA this weekend.
Dude.
A reward of up to $50,000 is offered for information leading to his identification, arrest, and conviction. I want to take you to a closer look at some of those photos. Obviously a little small there on the left-hand side of your screen, but these are those photos right there made a little bit larger. Now, the FBI in Los Angeles putting out a release saying that they are seeking the public's assistance in identifying the individual responsible for assaulting a federal officer and damaging government property near Alondra Boulevard in the city of Paramount, California. They say on June 7th, that would be Saturday, at about 3:30 p.m. local time, the suspect threw rocks at law enforcement vehicles.
Well, there's a lot of people
in
throwing
Paramount,
rocks.
California,
Shoot.
injuring a federal officer and
There's a lot of
damaging
people
government
throwing
vehicles as a result.
Oh, yeah.
Again, these photos there provided by the FBI, and they do say they are offering a $50,000 reward for any information
That's a pretty
about
good
who
photo
that
of him,
person is. They also said as all of this does progress in the coming days, they are going to get even more of this social media video, the photos that are coming in, and they will disclose those and also rewards for more information as they look to identify people. Again, a live look, as you can see that heavy police presence in downtown LA. They are in formation there, and we saw them opening up some of the roads that had been closed down as a result of the protests and eventual riots that took place, but not clear exactly where they are heading. However, as you can see, their lights are flashing, and there are quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's a pretty
we'll
good
keep an eye
photo
on
of the
that
dude.
to see how this does
Even though
progress
he's got a
here
mask
over the
on.
next few minutes and hours. For now, I do want to head to our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour, but so much more news to get to here as we follow the latest out of downtown LA. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back.
That they're working with right now, but they have groups of about 10 or 20 that kind of split off, scatter, and they'll get back together. They launch fireworks or things like that. LAPD has to decide, okay, do we block a certain road to kind of prevent people from continuing moving in a certain direction, or you have to keep in mind where this kind of all started was the federal building at Temple and Alameda. That is still a heavily protected area in the downtown area.
Yeah, they're protecting the city hall there. They keep trying to push into it, but they keep getting them backed off.
Police. I'm not sure what department that is. That might be Monrovia. So you really see kind of the effect and what happens when you have a mutual aid situation of this capacity. Is all these departments.
I can't believe
as we get close to
I can't believe
midnight
Governor
hour,
Newsom
over
said that
Southern
shit,
California
man. That's
are now
wild.
descending on the situation. Things are a little bit calmer right now. They still LAPD just still asking for a little bit more help and just trying to make sure it remains calm through the night, and they have no other issues pop up. Mark?
Mark? What? Is Facebook blocking me from fucking streaming this? What? What? Hold on a minute.
Got about that much time left.
What? What the heck? Hold on a minute. Is StreamYard really or Facebook really blocking me from streaming this?
You got about 5 more minutes in you, Jason? You got about 5 more minutes in you? Okay. Copy.
What?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
It won't let me fucking. It will only let me.
Air 21 on the white. There's a street takeover breaking up here on Alameda and Greenleaf. We got one vehicle picked out. I don't know if there's any units in the area.
December street takeover that's breaking up Alameda and Greenleaf. You're overhead with one vehicle. Standby just one year 21. 7770 Tom reports of a wrong way south on 750. Vehicle being northbound in the southbound lane for block pickup.
Flight 770 Tom. Copies in and around.
70 Tom copies en route. And near 21, go ahead. What kind of vehicle is that?
It's going to be a black Cadillac CTSV. It looks like he's fixing northbound. Southbound on Alameda from Greenleaf. There's still a lot of cars over here, so I'll wait till it opens up a little bit.
Black Cadillac CTSV facing south on Alameda from Greenleaf. There's still multiple vehicles in the area. You'll stand by.
What the heck? It won't let me stream this.
Yeah.
It's only letting me stream it to myself.
And Denver building here, that would be en route to Alameda and Greenleaf Second Tower.
Corner Tom, we're going to go check on that wrong way.
Corner Tom to the wrong way, then you'll be en route.
This is what? How is this even possible? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out this Facebook thing. It won't let me stream it except to myself. I don't know if I'd call this excitement and fun, Foxhole.
Hello, 264 Tom 1 early, you have a helm on a birth between business. 2106 East Honda Boulevard, 2106 East Palmdale, Tokyo Steakhouse. Male sleeping outside on property of a mosquito leaf and bugs. Thank you for sighting.
Continuing southbound now on Alameda from Greenleaf. The traffic's starting to open up.
Here goes south on Alameda from Greenleaf.
Come on, StreamYard.
It's hard to say that that's what they found at a workplace or in a Home Depot parking lot. When this happens, it terrifies people. It sends a sense of fear.
Southbound Alameda, Town Center Drive now, the number one lane.
Remember a few years ago in the last administration, kids were afraid to go to school. Parents were afraid to go to work. This impacts all of our city. You can't terrify the workforce and then expect for people to get the jobs done. So if you think about a father that went into a factory and now his family doesn't know where he is, the detainees have not been allowed to speak to legal counsel. That is a marked departure from what has happened in the past. When you think of a mother that might be working in a household, taking care of children on the other side of town, that impacts that family as well as her family. And so this is something that I think should not be happening in our city. And I join with the governor in appealing to the administration to rescind the order to federalize the National Guard and allow the National Guard to come back under the control of the governor. So with that, we can open it up for questions. Yes. Questions? Yes. Right.
But then it's they scatter. 136 Adam responsibly. 136 Adam.
Where is the LAPD in terms of being able to deal with that and maybe stop them before they go?
Sure. Well, I think that basically they were overrun. But what is happening now is that the freeway is cleared. The California Highway Patrol, as you know, is in charge of the freeways. So they have moved all of the protesters back. They still might be there, but they are beginning to be dispersed. But LAPD is on the perimeter, so LAPD is actively involved. You know that there are hundreds of protesters on the freeway and thousands of protesters off the freeway. So there is a joint collaboration going with the CHP, the LAPD, and then frankly the National National Guard, but you also know that the National Guard is deployed to protect federal property. So there is a National Guard troops in Westwood at the federal building and also here downtown. No, my disappointment is I've been talking to the federal government for days. I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the administration that if they deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles, it would create a sense of chaos. It's the last thing our city needs. Our city is still trying to recover from the wildfires. And you just think about how so many people were impacted by that. And that's an example of where the administration was helpful. And to go from that situation to where we are now is just really tragic. And I think it's so unfortunate. It's the last thing Los Angeles needs.
President Trump?
No, I did not reach out to President Trump directly. I spoke to his chief of staff. I talked to Tom Holman. I talked to the U.S. Attorney. So I've talked to several members of the administration.
I know you've been watching these protests. First off, what do you see when you're watching
So, eastbound 91, passing Atlantic, eastbound moves over at number 4 lane, doing 100 miles an hour.
Well, I'm worried about everybody. I'm worried about members of law enforcement. I'm worried about the safety of the people who are peacefully protesting. I'm worried about the businesses that might get vandalized. I'm worried about the vandalism that took place around the federal building. All of that. We do not need to see our city torn apart. And the idea that the federal government that should be assisting us is a contributing factor, I think is very tragic. When I see protesters, I know that so many people are affected by this. Their families are affected by this. People are terrified.
How do you think that vandalism impacts the overall message of the protest?
Well, I mean, I first of all, I think protests need to be peaceful, pure. And any time it deteriorates into violence, that is a problem, and it absolutely messes with the overall message.
Next question right here in white.
Yeah, hi, Mayor. The Georgia Warriors. My question is, can you share a little bit about the conversations you've had with the governor, and how long you expect for the National Guard to actually be in?
You know what? Thanks for asking me that, because we're hearing all of sorts of information. We're hearing that the raids could continue. We're hearing that the National Guard is going to be here. So it's uncertain. But that's exactly the problem. Because we don't need in this city to go to sleep tonight and wake up in the morning and find out about people running through Home Depot parking lots being chased by ICE officers, or people going to work, or children at school. So we don't need any of that in our city right now. Our city is trying to heal. Our city is trying to rebuild. Our city does not need to be torn apart with a provocative measure from the federal government. If people get violent, if people break the law, they will be subject to arrest and they will be held accountable. It's as simple as that. So peaceful protest is what is needed. Peaceful protest is a part of our American tradition.
American 101 at 07 Lamont. Informant Steve's neighbor was approached by unknown persons who pulled a knife at the plane disconnected to answer a call back and check one.
If they want to continue, or they just doing it regardless of how.
Well, I mean, I think what we see now is they're doing it regardless of how anyone else feels. My conversation with the U.S. Attorney, though, was not focused on that. Oh, hi, Frank.
It appears that the LAPD is cooperating with ICE in this operation outside the Metropolitan Detention Center. They moved in, there was a peaceful protest. The LAPD moved the people back using flashbang and less than lethal munitions. Comment on that, because
sure.
The LAPD is not supposed to be cooperating.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm not sure that LAPD was involved with the flashbangs. But anyway, let me just say that what happened there is that when one branch of law enforcement says they need help, another branch of law enforcement is going to respond, is obligated to respond. And so the minute that protest left the federal building, then that's when LAPD were involved. So the cooperation that you're referring to, I believe, is the cooperation around coordinating with ICE in terms of raiding workplaces or arresting people who are undocumented.
Hi, what's your exact understanding of the timeline for how long the National Guard is going to be here? How long the raids are going to continue? Are there going to be daily raids?
I have no exact timeline. I cannot tell you that. That's part of the problem, right? We do not know. I have heard a variety of days and weeks. I certainly hope that this is over. The last thing this city needs is civil unrest. And the last thing this city needs is civil unrest that's provoked.
Bullets, rubber bullets into the ground, but in some cases directly at protesters. Can you speak about
I can't in terms of the specific orders that are being given by the chief or the other commanding officers.
So may we be speaking then to
I'm going to speak to him in the next few minutes.
Okay, great.
Yes, I'm leaving from here to meet with him.
What is then the plan for tomorrow? Because let's say presumably this is...
Right. Well, you know, I think one thing is that because our city has always had a very robust immigrant rights movement and infrastructure and institutions that have been around for several decades, there is a history of having peaceful protests here. Now, you know, like any crowd, if we're talking about after an athletic event, everybody celebrates. There's all
down there, over here, we got lots of LAPD here right now. We had Highway Patrol probably still activated up here. Watching from Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas, Viva, Viva. Crying forever.
What's the original one on it?
23109.
Round 105 and 605. Where you feel? Won't be allowed to they're on it. Eric just pushed back away.
Alright, I'm going to be out of the chat for a second. This just got super sketchy over here. Let me try to renegotiate that whole...
Heading goes west on 105 just west of Lakewood.
Frank, fire is en route. Frequency 6, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Heading goes down west on 105 at Paramount.
Tell me please clear NJ indicated. Please give the assistant 96 1640 Sweetbriar Street, 1640 Sweetbriar, Cross 15th East Central Mill Boulevard. DP's daughter's ex-boyfriend, male black 23, name in the call, wearing a red hoodie through brisk on Switzerland's window. The DP left on foot, but the DP drives the black Kia sedan. Ticket's going to be 259. Hello 261 early, you have the handle 263, have the assist on 925 37362. Downing Street, 37.
We won't lose signal.
Plaza 10 East Center, stabbed woman, 2 doobies wearing all black, hoodies and pants, circling up to the parts of envelope. From vicinity keep left, department knows that it's
Tracking. Is it still going down at T-Mobile? We'll go there.
David 97, right, the 927, hang up. Hang up.
Well, back with you on the white, still following that Cadillac CTSC westbound 105 now, just coming up to Alameda.
Traffic back on the white, west 105, east of Alameda with the black Cadillac.
For 2 lane now, going about 95 miles an hour.
Blackout number 2, speed at 95.
14601 Lakewood Boulevard at Honda Fitness. Tell Sonic 49 trans unit wearing a white hoodie, gray pants, yelling at me, no weapons, and if you take his money, stick with his
They went to take it off, Central.
145 West of Wilmington, number 4 lane, South Bay.
Number 2 lane, 95 miles an hour, blacked out.
Blackout number 2, speed at 95.
The Nat'l Boulevard now coming up to 110 transition, still westbound 105, moving over to the number 4 lane.
Westbound 105 at the 110 and the number 4.
Transition in the 110, stand by for direction.
Copy at the 110.
95 to 97 on tag 2, advise go for GPS, GP, contact 2.
That's what I'm I'm about to get hit by a dump truck. Almost get hit by a dump truck.
Now going down 110, from the 105, approaching 108 Street.
North 110 at 108, now what by Central.
We're in the high rises.
Yeah, man, man, 21. Would it be alright if the South LA just stuck with it? I know Central's kind of busy down there with all the riots. We're still headed northbound 110, passing Entry Boulevard, number 4 lane.
I think everybody went home. Hey, you know, it's midnight, time to sleep. They'll be back tomorrow. Unless, yeah, I got hit last night. I'm okay. I think I'm okay still. We'll let the doctor tell me when I go back on Tuesday. But they'll be like, we told you to stay home. What the heck?
Manchester might be the next exit.
North 110 Manchester in the right lane, South Bay. Units 1 Davis device and confirm the 927 hang up. No evidence of permit location is good for.
Set up to take a eastbound turn on the Manchester from the 110.
Eastbound turn on Manchester from the 110. Manchester with the San Pedro, so blocked out.
Number 1 right now, Manchester. Just passing San Pedro right now.
East of Manchester, passing San Pedro, the number 1 lane.
Avalon Boulevard, south Manchester.
East on Avalon.
I'll give you a minute. Anybody need a minute set up? Take your time.
Northbound on Stanford, south Manchester.
Northbound Stanford from Manchester.
Eastbound 85th Street, south Stanford.
East on 86 from Stanford.
You good? All good? All right, thank you. Thank you. First of all, I know it's a very, very busy time. Thank you all for coming here tonight and allowing us the opportunity to be able to brief the public a little bit about what's going on and what we've been doing and ask for peace throughout our city. I'm joined here by Gerald Woodyard, Deputy Chief from Operations West Bureau, Herman Hurtado, Commander from Professional Standards Bureau, and from Operations Central Bureau, Raul Jovel, who's also the incident commander for Central Bureau and for this incident. So I want to just take an opportunity to speak directly to the people of Los Angeles, clarify LAPD's roles and the events that have been playing out over these past couple of days. This includes our response to protests, our public safety responsibilities, and recent claims that you've seen made by some federal officials. Today I met with Governor Newsom, Mayor Bass, U.S. Attorney General of Central District of California, Bill Asaley, and ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons. Let me begin by reaffirming a core principle. The LAPD supports and protects the First Amendment right to free speech. In recent days, many protests across the city have been peaceful, and we thank the community for expressing their views and their frustration in a responsible manner. However, when peaceful demonstrations devolve into acts of vandalism or violence, especially violence directed at innocent people, law enforcement officers, and others, we must respond firmly. An act of violence, whether toward officers, demonstrators, or the public, will be met with swift and lawful action. Our goal is to maintain order without escalating conflict and to protect everybody's right to safety. Recent public statements have misrepresented LAPD's action from an incident the other night. Specifically, there was a claim that LAPD delayed responding to a federal officer's request for assistance by more than 2 hours. When we heard that, I think anybody who's a police officer couldn't believe it, and certainly anyone with LAPD couldn't imagine how that would happen. Well, it didn't happen, and I just want to go into that just a little bit. LAPD was not given advance notice that the federal operations would occur in that area. As a result, we were not pre-positioned to respond immediately to unrest related to those actions. Once the call for assistance came in, LAPD responded within 38 minutes. And that sounds like a long time, but I'll tell you why that is. The response was impacted by traffic, crowd density in the area with unrest occurring, hazardous conditions caused by tear gas that was previously deployed by federal agents at that location. Many of our officers, because it was put together in a mobile field force configuration without advance notice, were not equipped with gas masks. But despite these challenges, we moved in quickly and as safely as possible. At no point did LAPD ignore or intentionally delay any request for help. I also want to be unequivocally clear. The Los Angeles Police Department does not participate in or coordinate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement on civil immigration enforcement. We've said this over and over again, and I can't stress it enough for the people in our community who have high levels of anxiety about this issue, that we want everybody to believe and be able to call the LAPD in time of need if they've been a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. We need that. Otherwise, the system does not work. That has been our policy and remains our policy, and it went into effect in 1979. So 46 years ago, that's been the way we do business. On the other hand, however, when a law enforcement agency, any agency, requests emergency assistance to protect lives, we are obligated to respond, and we do. Public safety is our duty, and we will answer every legitimate call for help from anyone. We recognize that immigration enforcement operations can cause a deep fear and anxiety, particularly in immigrant communities. That's why we're committed to transparency, accountability, and treating every Angelino with respect, regardless of their immigration status. Our job is not to divide communities or politicize law enforcement. Our job is simply to keep everyone safe. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all of our officers and partner agencies for their dedication and professionalism during these very challenging times. Their commitment to upholding the law, even in the face of hostility, is a reflection of the values that we stand for. We're working together to keep everyone safe, our officers and the public alike, and this remains our top priority. We'll continue to support peaceful protests and enforce the law when criminal acts occur. The LAPD remains focused on its core mission to protect lives, safeguard constitutional rights, and serve every neighborhood in Los Angeles with integrity. Let me open it up now for any questions you might have or any points that we can clarify.
Chief, the governor made a very strong statement that he believed the Trump administration needed to activate those National Guard troops to take control of those National Guard troops in the Sun area because he felt we had adequate safety protections officers here. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know what basis they used to make that decision, but if that was based on our what I delineated here about the perceived lack of response to a help call by an outside agency, that did not happen. We did respond with mobile field force configuration, and just to explain that, a mobile field force is a configuration of people or officers within the organization that we bring in from around the city. We declare a tactical alert so we can break them away from their primary duties of answering radio calls to be able to come in, form up. They're trained in this tactic into a configuration of 4 squads or a platoon that are led by a mobile field force leader. They then go 4 deep in the car and they drive into the impacted area, and that way they can safely go in a large group of officers and able to handle whatever they come across. If we were to send in a single unit or a couple of units into a riotous scene, certainly they'd be surrounded and the outcome would probably not be good. And so this is a configuration that has worked for us, developed here, worked for us for many years, but it doesn't happen instantaneously. So we have to call in units. We have to meet at a certain location. They get the information they need to operate in the environment, and then they go and they take care of business. And so that takes a little bit of time. For us to be able to get in there in about 35 minutes is pretty much textbook. So while we'd love to be able to say we can get there in seconds or minutes, in the reality of a situation of civil unrest, we got to do it right. We got to do it safely for everybody involved.
Hold on. Go one at a time, please, and let's identify name and outlet.
Victor with Univision. Chief, we have seen 2 kinds of groups, at least from Friday, Saturday, and today that have been working. The community that is enraged and they're not happy with the actions of ICE, and then the community that loots and attacks and destroys our city. What would be your direct message to both groups?
Yeah, to the people who are not happy with the fact that ICE is in the community doing what ICE does, you know, I respect ICE for being a fellow law enforcement agency. They have their mission. They have their what they have to do. We don't engage in that activity, but again, we can't preclude them from doing that. They have every right to do that. I ask people in the community to trust the LAPD, that we're not there for that purpose, and that if they have something they need us to be able to address, we're there for them. As far as the big picture of what can I recommend they do or not do, that's something it's a federal issue, and the federal authorities have the right to be able to do what they're doing. As far as people worried about the violence that we're seeing, this violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you've broadcast it, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers.
Law enforcement believes that this was an arson fire, and LAPD has their helicopter overhead trying to direct other available units, if they are available and they can safely do so, to try and take the person into custody that the officer believes actually started this fire, at the very least added fuel to this fire and helped it spread. So this is what LAPD, LA County Sheriffs, and all the law enforcement agencies in downtown are working with right now. You still have a lot of individuals kind of scattered throughout the downtown area. We're not seeing a lot of major crowds as we saw earlier, but a lot of individuals that are bent on doing things like this and starting fires, starting dumpster fires and the like, and LAFD has to kind of wiggle their way through the crowds around some of the debris and make their way in to put fires like this out. I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't opened the hose lines, if you will, to start getting water on this. And there you go, right there. They have been able to start putting water on this fire. Hopefully this one will be out in pretty short order here, Mark.
It's indicative, really, Gabe, of the fact that if it doesn't take a lot of people to cause this sort of chaos. One person starts a fire here, another person starts a fire there, a few people barricade a street, and all of a sudden you've got all kinds of incidents happening in downtown LA. Thank you for that report. You know, they're supposed to be working together, but they're not. They're at cross purposes right now to the escalating war of words.
164 Adam 1, response 164 Adam 1.
So I guess maybe they wanted some free alcohol. That's probably what they wanted.
Mid-block on 84th place between Avalon and Stanford on the south curb line. North curb line.
What did T-Mobile ever do to me, right? What did T-Mobile have to do with anyone? Right?
I put the night sun out.
They did pretty good on that one. Took out all the glass.
Devil on person, we're Nat'l.
Comment, and right there to your left is the vehicle.
Wow. I'm not crossing the line. Thank you for 50 likes. To be honest, this.
John Charles Paul 007. 005. Yes, it's clear. It's a recently impounded vehicle. 2013 Cadillac CCS Captain Color. Last of the VIN is 9193. Your postmaster circular May 5.
In LA, Air 21 Alexis comes up to the he was active participants and then take over to assailant on the street.
Vignis and Cesar Chavez, eastbound.
Cover vehicles actively to join us from the Alameda and Greeley here mixes with the state production office.
400 strong copies off. Orby 1015 and 1. And you should get the rear zone.
Everything's in the log. I had you check this scene as it's midnight 28, unless you want that as of now.
All right, I got newscopter behind us.
10-4, thanks,
You're welcome.
LA, thank you very much, as always, for the work.
Yeah, Mark, this is Cesar Chavez. He appears to be northbound on Cesar Chavez on Gallardo Street, and you know, we've seen situations. Left turn there, and I believe that's going to be 7th Street. There was an officer needs help call in that area. We're dealing with a lot of additional air traffic, a lot of airships from law enforcement agencies, and also the weather. The marine layer is pretty low over the downtown area, so we can't really get over where the LAPD ship is working over that particular scene. So we're trying to kind of see from a distance, and as these individual calls come out, we're trying to make sense of them and see what's actually going on. So you saw all of those units going southbound on Hill Street, and they're going to investigate this officer needs help call. We're going to try and find further details on that and see exactly what the result of that was. But as I'm hearing that, there's also another call for assistance on 1st and Spring Street. So we're hearing these individual calls, these individual intersections where officers are dealing with individuals that are still throwing projectiles and fireworks and things of that nature at officers. I'm still seeing, you know, every couple of minutes a flash or a flashbang or a firework go off. So you're still seeing a lot of little bits of activity like that. And as I look out the windshield of Air 7, I see a lot. I just want to point out, I see a lot of people still on the road. So it's not like people are avoiding downtown. I think there's a looky-loo factor to it all, where you just have a lot of people coming downtown to just kind of see what's going on. And you can see there, this looks like Hill Street and Ord. Somebody, you know, launching the fireworks up into the air right in front of that. I believe that's a LAPD skirmish line a little bit south of that location. And LAPD just has to manage their resources. They have to decide, you know, we're not going to chase after each individual fireworks thrower or fire starter.
Road in Lamarada and 13920. Carroll Road in Lamarada at the Hutchins Middle School. Middle School. ML 2V5. Guys, do you still need the unit code or not code? Unit Sergeant or 904?
Agencies have begun to respond, in particular the LA County Sheriff's Department, which has deployed a number of officers, a lot of them, into downtown LA to help with the response there. So we're starting to see the police beginning to match, if not outnumber, the numbers of people who are still bent on causing harm and disarray in downtown Los Angeles. So they are perhaps getting a handle on things. The mayor indicating that earlier, the sheriff also indicating that. Hundreds of people gathering outside the Immigration Service building in San Francisco today. They're rallying against the ICE raids and deportations that are happening across the state. Officers in riot gear were seen there trying to disperse the crowds. This move comes as a response to demonstrations in LA as law enforcement used tear gas, rubber bullets, and flashbangs to control the crowd. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's comments threatening to deploy U.S. Marines on U.S. soil drew a small group of demonstrators to Camp Pendleton today. More than 4 dozen people held up signs at the main gate to Camp Pendleton with slogans such as, quote, "We're on a slippery slope to fascism, and your oath is to the Constitution." President Donald Trump has already federalized and deployed National Guard troops to L.A. after protests erupted over Friday's immigration raids. This coming despite strong objections from the governor and the mayor of Los Angeles. Patrick Saunders is an Air Force veteran. He organized the Camp Pendleton demonstration.
We want to show our support to the military members that work here. We want to kind of remind them of what their duty is to us, but additionally we want to make it very publicly known that we condemn any sort of action by the administration of using active duty or National Guard troops on U.S. citizens.
Meanwhile, U.S. Northern Command confirms 500 Marines from 29 Palms are on what is called prepared to deploy status, should they be called to help protect federal property and personnel. Let's look live right now again at Air 7 over downtown Los Angeles. Another long convoy of law enforcement vehicles on the move. We are seeing them deployed and moving to various hotspots around the downtown area, which has been the scene of so much of the chaos that erupted after the peaceful demonstrations against the ICE raids that have taken place this week. We'll be back with more coverage right after the break. And we are back looking live in downtown Los Angeles, and the law enforcement presence appearing to grow much more robust. Let's get more from Gabe Santos in Air 7. Gabe?
Yeah, Mark, we're continuing to monitor a few different areas of activity, but it does appear that there's a bit of a lull in very aggressive activity on the part of law enforcement and on the part of individuals and protesters in the area. It appears that as far as massive groups go, they appear to have dispersed. I'm not able to say if everybody's gone home, but it does appear that everybody's kind of dispersed in a manner that there's not any large groups of protesters in any one spot in particular downtown. But this is giving us a chance to kind of look in and zoom in at different areas. There's a lot of areas along Los Angeles Street, Hill Street, Main Street that have been spray painted and vandalized with various messages and profanity that we try to avoid putting on television. We apologize if certain elements of profanity make it onto television. That isn't our intention. But as the scene kind of takes a lull right now, you start to see areas like the intersection of Aliso and Spring Street, where sheriff's deputies actually have crime scene tape up now because it's just going to be a long process for them to investigate and figure out everything that happened here today and over the weekend.
All right, there are investigations underway that will be bent on catching people who were up to no good in the wake of the protest demonstrations that occurred earlier today. Gabe Santos in Air 7, thank you. We have a moment to pause, and we're going to check in on the weather. Niku Kazori joining us now. You have been here waiting to go on. We are glad that you're able to give us something to look at that doesn't involve craziness right now. Thanks for joining us.
Exactly. We're taking a look at the weather right now and get folks ready for the week.
Now white, 44 wearing unknown clothing, you can from a lift together. Safety is continue to open bedroom door in 4 minutes. You can open type of take a flight.
I think they went in. Are they in the cars? They're in the cars.
I got the additional 14 of I think 414 family. You guys make your West Jackson Street.
Left, right, left, right. Is that the code for, what was it called? $2. I will send it back to you if you want. If you really want. Maybe I'll figure out another way. You tell me.
Information is 2152 Southland 405 West Main. Once again, and please, Southland 405 West Main, to me, it's doing mid-840.
We probably all. The address is going to be clear.
Stand for that address is clear. Federal Mary further search present's going to be a minor. DP is neighbor that lives behind the indicated boat. Like is going to be 239.
I do not want to hold a sidearm. Even if they said yes, I don't want to. Look at that big white spray paint over here.
You know, 46, someone could 6, let's see.
Arkansas. Not arguing service location at the scene. Handle with an ABS phone. Take it.
Get out here.
77, 400 copy.
Physical features. I don't know about that one. I'm going to say I don't know about that one.
Probation, send some questions through 2027. Additional probation through 2026 for pending by 1 City Adams. Before checking. Usually 27 tongues for part of end of recent here. Expired 1225, 9 Henry Robert Tom 149, 08 Acura 4-door to a Julian Ramirez, 544 South Montebello Boulevard, apartment C Charlie in the city of Montebello. Vehicle registration suspended effective 8/5 of 24.
Yeah, you can't shoot it though. We did see the guy with the flamethrower being taken into custody. Well, like
Okay.
All right, she's getting the costume on. This guy has a baton. It's a little sus.
section you're seeing right there, and LAPD continued to push that crowd further north. So now you're just seeing the crowd just kind of scatter in a lot of different directions. So a couple people went to the gas station. We didn't see any signs of looting or anything like that in that particular store right there. So that's definitely some good news. But the concern obviously is individuals that continue to make barricades, such as this one there on the right side of your screen that's been, as you said, fortified with a couple of dumpsters and a wrought iron fence. We've seen an item set on fire there next to that fence, but it appears that fire may be out as of right now. So LAPD is trying to avoid situations like this, but they're also taking into account all of the resources that they are pouring into the area, and they have been pouring into the area, and they're trying to figure out a way to balance those resources. So they are not at this time making a push further north to knock down that barricade as they had been with previous barricades. They're just kind of holding the scene as it stands right now, maybe to have a little bit of a respite, have a little bit of a calm.
So 821 requesting a Hollywood unit to cancel them off and ambulance it in.
They're going after that fire.
Fireworks going off. There was clashes with police, but there were also thousands upon thousands of people who came down here to peacefully protest. We spoke with a woman who intended to attend a vigil that was eventually canceled here tonight, and said there's good reason why people are out here and upset.
We're feeling like, we want people to see what's happening, to hear our cries. We have rights as well. I'm the daughter of 2 immigrants from El Salvador, and so I'm here to speak up for my community and to protect them, do anything I can to let them know that they have a voice, that they have people that care about them. And so for those of us that have a voice, I ask that you would please speak up at this time, and don't let your wealth or your privilege, your American, privilege choke your voice, because we need it at this time.
As the dust begins to settle here in downtown Los Angeles, one question that has come up from a number of people who are still kind of lingering here tonight, they're asking me, do we think that there will be protests tomorrow? I can tell you what we've seen, and I've been out here over the last 3 days, doesn't seem terribly organized, especially when it comes to the most violent offenders out here during these protests. That being said, last night I spoke with U.S. Attorney Bill O'Saley, who told me that these ICE operations, they're going to continue regardless of the resistance that these federal officers and federal agents are facing over the last 3 days. So they will continue with these operations, meaning that if people want to resist and people want to protest and these ICE operations are going on, there's a very good chance these clashes will continue. We're live tonight in downtown Los Angeles. Tim Caputo, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, could be tough times ahead, although local leaders are, of course, calling for peace. Tim Caputo, thank you. Gabe Santos over Air 7, in Air 7, rather, over downtown, as it seems like peace is returning to the downtown area at the cost of a lot of folks in law enforcement doing their jobs. Let's get more from Gabe Santos. Gabe?
Yeah, Mark, it could kind of go both ways here, because just a few minutes ago, literally just a minute ago, and there goes a little flare flying through the shot there, and there goes the pop, and that's firework. So we keep patrol cars down there. You see that they're parked under the overpass, and that's because the ones that weren't parked under the overpass were heavily damaged by items thrown by people on the bridge. And LAPD, the reason why they moved north to begin with was they had to clear that bridge to prevent further damage to those patrol cars down below. You see one of them.
Really good. Chris thought it was trick-or-treating time.
Yeah, he's gonna go. He's gonna go. That's spray paint?
Yeah, they're spray painting the walls. All right, come on, you got a Honda. Calm down.
One for the meme is crazy.
There you go. Trick or treat, Chris. Trick or treat.
What street on?
On, but it appears, at least for the past 20 or 25 minutes, that we're entering a little bit of a moment of calm while LAPD kind of regroups and figure out what their next move is going to be. Yeah.
Here, let's go over here. Oh, they're coming that way.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, have a great night. Have a safe.
Oh my, I can't with the shark costume. I don't trust them to not start shooting.
I don't see anybody to our left. Nobody on ADSB at least.
Of a loose cannon sometimes. Although, Andrew, you may be smoking something, so I don't know. Maybe you're both crazy. You and Willie and the boys.
Way to try to save the dog ear in $2. Listen, after last time, I regret not asking. Because remember what happened? If you were on that live.
That dog, we're gonna have a problem.
No, that's fine.
What? They got that bonfire on Spring and First, just for your information.
Information on unit 33103, southbound 101, just off of Anaheim. White van, red, static just over 100 miles an hour. This would be the one I'm going to follow no further. KME 01 clear for 955.
Well, looks like a cylinder of some kind and some metal pallets. They appear to have been piled up here at the intersection of Spring and 1st Street. And the LAPD is nearby, but they're not too close. Where that gas station is, you can see there this new, not a new fire, but it is definitely a fire that has been coaxed accordingly, and it looks like they've there's a lot of cardboard in that dumpster, and individuals have set that dumpster ablaze. So you now have two bonfires, if you will, illegal bonfires burning in streets here in downtown LA. And LAPD at this point has taken this time to regroup their forces and figure out which one they want to tackle at this time. But you have an individual with drums there, you have this dumpster ablaze, you have another little cylinder there on the ground also ablaze. And as these fires continue, LAPD is going to have to decide which one to tackle, because at least at this time they don't have the resources in place to take one or the other, unless they really coordinate that and really focus on sending a skirmish line to the north and sending another skirmish line to the south. You're going to have these two separate kind of hot spots, these literal hot spots burning. This one on Main and Alameda, and the other one near the intersection of 1st and Spring Street. So still tensions rising high as individuals continue to set fires here in the downtown area.
263 and 8, copy 263. I just need an 8 or less here and 264, Adam and 3, response to 264, Adam.
Well, the federal detention center's right there too. That's where all the ruckus is around, because
Oh, oh no, oh no. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Follow.
YouTube.
YouTube Live?
SoCal Shorts. Like,
On
yeah,
YouTube?
on YouTube.
Let me go watch it.
I'm not ending the stream suddenly. I'm going to tell you when I'm getting off.
Just gone. Okay. That's all right. You want to say hi? What's up? We live? Maybe you want. I don't know what it is. I don't know nothing about it.
Have you gotten her or they have started doing anything?
That's the only time, but I normally do like concerts. I did Beyonce,
That's way
Kendrick.
harder than this.
Yeah, but this was like, oh my God, what the hell?
We're a little bit blocked right now because we can't see what's going on the other side of that building. So I'm not sure if this guy in the vehicle stopped or if he continued on. Zoom back in, left or up. I think that's him right there. Yeah. Okay. Not him. So we just kind of saw this out of the corner of our eye, and I'm not sure if this guy is agitated by the protesters or was with the protesters. But then we saw him doing these backwards donuts, and then other individuals started throwing rocks at this vehicle as he continued doing those donuts at high speeds. Now you see a crowd racing to the.
They just threw stuff at the cop's window and broke it.
Wherever the dumpster's on fire.
Oh, right down here somewhere.
What was that? They're throwing fireworks at the cop. They just threw one right there.
What?
They just threw one right there, I think. I don't know if it's dead.
Where did they throw?
A firework.
That's a while back, but then they quit. That looks like too far to walk for a dumpster.
Absolutely. Be safe, man.
Appreciate it. These people are like not leaving. They're like, I don't know if they're checking out slowly.
I back up, I don't keep bumping into you. Like.
$1?
You're documenting my people.
Let me see. If I have $1, you can have it.
Your status.
Regulate 120 up information station to 1597 Brookover Street. Roger.
Listen, unit.
Shay.
Pretty much, if you see a city bus or anything city-owned, they're going to throw a firework at it, so. I got a bunch of people on. You gotta wait. And plus, we need Chris to drive us back. Unless you wanna, I mean, you think we could, I don't know if an Uber is gonna.
Out, ambulance battery 6250 Hollywood Boulevard to 282 Mountie 67 identified. At their location is up there.
Roger, Trip 6 Los Angeles, Lisa.
31 FP41 and
I wish I could get closer for you guys, but, you know. Not trying to be the lose an arm or something from a firework.
Yes, sir. LA City Fire, but LAPD with a fire extinguisher, they're just going to move forward with their fire extinguisher and put this thing out. So apparently they felt it safe enough with their riot gear. You see that officer there with his baton trying to push a protester back there. It appears that they've made the assessment that individuals in this parking lot appear to be pretty calm and pretty docile, in addition to a number of press in the area. It appears that a lot of those people down there that aren't law enforcement are in fact press. So law enforcement made the decision there to just come in with a fire extinguisher and put that little fire out that was in that parking booth. But it just goes to show you that there's still a number of hot spots here that LAPD is keeping an eye on. That's the intersection of Main and Alameda. Once LAPD pushed those protesters down past Olvera Street to Main and Cesar Chavez, you know, just as I'm kind of wrapping my head around what we just saw a few minutes ago, we see another barricade being put up with a number of dumpsters there. So people aren't leaving the area, they're just kind of scattering and regrouping, and then we're continuing to see different little barricades get set up in different spots of town as LAPD kind of continues to push the protesters towards different areas here. We're seeing a little bit of a progression north into Chinatown, but we also have a large group, at least a few minutes ago, that I last had eyes on, that was south of City Hall at, I believe that was Main and I think it was Main and 1st Street, and we might be a little too far away with the buildings in a way here to get eyes on that group there, but there was a group of about 500 people down on that side. However, that group of protesters, they weren't really doing anything that LAPD deems to be a threat, so LAPD is really putting their focus on the protesters on the north side that continue to set up barricades. They really don't want anybody to dig their heels in and set up barricades or anything of that sort, because the longer barricades get put in place, the more they get fortified by other pieces of trash and other pieces of metal that these individuals find, the harder it will be for LAPD to deal with it later on. That's the, looks like that's the Spring Street Bridge that CHP now has been able to contain. And I think if we pan to the left, Rob, there, we'll be able to see the Los Angeles Street Bridge, and that's the bridge where a lot of protesters were throwing items down onto the freeway below. And you see that CHP vehicle on a tow truck. That CHP vehicle probably going to be a complete loss. It was actually set on fire earlier as people on the bridge above were lighting pieces of cardboard on fire and throwing them down to the vehicles below. So that CHP vehicle actually caught on fire a little bit before CHP officers were able to move in with a fire extinguisher and put it out. But while we were zoomed in there, you were able to see a lot of debris just spread across the lanes of the southbound 101 freeway. So it's going to be a big cleanup here.
Sorry guys, I don't really got the best view for you, but
I poked my head around the corner. I feel like they
yeah.
use that as target practice after the reporter.
Go before we get stuck. I think, right? What do you think?
It's up to you.
As long as there's a way for us to get out.
I mean, I'm down to just leave. They're gonna leave, and then we'll just come back for the car later.
What do you mean? Come back for the car? What do you mean?
If anything, they're probably just gonna leave. Because what? They're gonna.
Direction and speed and all the best. Corresponding by all right. Hey, fine. Okay, you're fine, man. The Eastbound 60 is Magnar, no traffic, approaching Wilcox. Eastbound 50, no traffic, approaching Wilcox. As they come here. Hey, there's got to be all center out and control is back battery. We will advise them. Let's take the area 22. Funny, on the Dateline, 6 miles an hour, no traffic. Where's it, 1020? Northwest now, still fast. East 160, just number 3 at 2.
'There's a drag, they'll cut. Oh my god, there's still so many cops coming.
I'm Susan Harris-Tuna. I'm Alex Michelson. Governor Gavin Newsom, Mayor Karen Bass, both calling for the guard to be removed, saying their president is inflaming the situation. The governor actually going to announce a lawsuit tomorrow to say what the president's doing is illegal. Time for them to get out.
Yeah, he mentioned the fact that he feels like this threatens the state's sovereignty. All right, we're going to go now to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf. We have been going to you multiple times in the course of this evening, Matthew. Where you are right now, have things started to simmer down?
Yeah, right now the protesters are hurling insults at members of law enforcement using a megaphone. You can see them on the other side of the street behind us. They've been also throwing fireworks this direction. You can hear the loud bangs, but also there's those fire bangs that the members of the Sheriff's Department are firing back, and some sort of pepper spray that gets in the area here as well. Let's see if we can point this direction and you can see what the crowd is doing right now. There's also, obviously, there's the flame in the middle of the street, and then some agitators that have been trying to set up these barricades, these street signals in the middle of the road, so that when law enforcement shoots those non-lethals, that they can hide behind those for as long as they can, stand it, before they eventually do retreat. But we've been seeing this for the last few hours here now, where these protesters were at one point right outside of City Hall. The Sheriff's Department was called in to help with LAPD at this scene and pushed them out. The protesters retreated a few blocks, and this is where we stand right now. They're kind of back and trying to taunt law enforcement too. Go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Matthew, thank you. We noticed that the fire there, the bonfire or whatever you want to call it, it's sort of gone down a little bit. So that's probably because they can't feed the fire. You are right alongside City Hall. City Hall is also where you were able to talk to the mayor. Last night when we talked to her on the air, I asked her if she was angry. I had heard or read a statement that suggested that she was deeply angry, but she told me last night, no, I'm not angry. It's my job to stay calm, and I'm not stressed out either, which is another question that I asked of her. Because I would be.
Governor Newsom was very, very angry.
Well, today's another day,
in
too.
our conversation. And
995G2, George 2, 45995G, George 2. This information on incident 178.
Let's go for Hunter and all that.
Oh, I'm hearing them pop off on the left.
Can you move?
35 miles an hour. Okay.
Oh, I don't know what's going. There's something's going down on the left.
Does he get an address or their location?
420. That's on Paramount, to Marketplace. 50 miles an hour. No traffic. Number 2 lane.
Voice on Paramount to Market, 50, number 2, no traffic.
You think of chanting, and that's really, we haven't seen any of that this evening. It's been, people chopping up pieces of concrete to hurl at CHP cars on the freeway, and people spray painting buildings and breaking glass and launching fireworks and starting fires. It's not what you think of when you think of a protest, right? This is a little more violent than that. Especially, you think of those the CHP officers underneath that overpass where people are hurling rocks down in them with cement. Basically, it's
like 30. 30, 30.
Listen, that's a negative. We stopped for a red light, waited for the green. Continuing San Diego, 40 miles an hour. Okay.
Yeah, copy that. Just barring weather. It's holding kind of for now, but we're just keeping an eye on it.
From 1039 to Montebello, we're advising Monterey, and that's the firm we have in 20 in back here. With an address out of LA.
When did they come back to you?
With an address out of LA.
Copy.
Copy.
420, are you eastbound, San Gabriel?
531 jail. Gonna be just on the north side of Best Buy. The other suspect went running northbound of that location, 17531.
You're detected at gunpoint northbound at 1791 Gale Avenue. The other suspect.
Ooh.
70 units.
Gas station.
Negative.
Is there unit 1 or less down to 17531 Gale?
Such a big crowd that was pushed further north, and I'm trying to monitor a few different things here to see why people are running. But the crowd had been further to the south on Main Street, south of Cesar Chavez Avenue, that intersection you're seeing right there. And LAPD continued to push that crowd.
This is where. Oh, that dude's tagging on the cop car. That cop just saw him tag on the cop car. He's like, "Hey, don't do that."
Thank you, man. I was at the disabled PA quote and gave us this off with the unit 197.
Oh, hey, 39, repeat your last message.
Dude, everything is getting tagged.
To make arrests when they see people vandalizing or committing other acts of violence.
And can you talk more about your specific message when it comes to that vandalism and that violence?
My specific message is that, you know, when the administration sent in the National Guard, I've been very concerned that it was a provocative act that was not going to help bring peace to our city. And if anybody participates in violence, then they are essentially saying that we need the federal troops. And I do not believe that we do. And I think that if people violate the law, that they need to be arrested and held accountable to the full extent of the law, period.
So you essentially...
No flexibility on that.
Essentially, what it sounds like what you're saying is if you really, really don't like the ICE policies of President Trump, going out and doing vandalism just makes them even more likely to happen.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I think it's quite ironic. As you protest ICE, you protest federal involvement, and then you give reason for people to have federal troops here. And so don't give in. Don't do that. Don't take the bait. You know, and you see people scrambling around, and they're just creating havoc in different places. This is not protest. This is not protest at all. And I think that the real protest ended several hours ago, and this is not helpful. If anybody thinks that by vandalizing the city that you are helping the cause of immigrants in Los Angeles, you are doing the exact opposite. Immigrants in Los Angeles are being painted very negatively, and we all know, Angelenos know, that that is not accurate, but the pictures that the country is seeing on national TV reinforces that negative image, and that, to me, is the last thing we need to do as Angelenos. This is the time for our city to come together, not for our city to be pitted against each other, and absolutely not for there to be violence in this city. It's just not going to be accepted. They need to understand that. They might not get arrested today, but, you know, people are, there's a lot of videos out there, a lot of cameras out there, so just because you got away with it today, that doesn't mean that the police will not be coming for you.
Yeah, that's the exact thing that we heard from the police chief and from U.S. Attorney Bill Desaley. But, Mayor, let me ask...
Concrete and bicycles and bird scooters and signs from that Los Angeles Street overpass onto the street below. You see all of that debris there. You see a number of those highway patrol cars, and I think, yeah, those are all highway patrol cars down there. You see that they're parked under the overpass, and that's because the ones that weren't parked under the overpass were heavily damaged by items thrown by people on the bridge. And LAPD, the reason why they moved north to begin with was they had to clear that bridge to prevent...
the provocation wasn't there. Would we be here in terms of the random violence? And I think that there's something that we need to ask ourselves. I know that I support what the governor is proposing, which is that the president, the federal government, rescind the federal order and let the National Guard be governed like they should be, which is by the governor, not by the president. So my message is peace. My message is unity. My message is we support all Angelenos, and we are not going to allow our city to be painted as being invaded by immigrants when we are a city that is full of immigrants from every country that you can imagine.
All right, Mayor Karen Bass, I know how busy you are. We really appreciate your time tonight calling in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, the question, if we had had a little bit more time with the mayor, I would have asked her, where are the federal agents, or rather the National Guard right now? We saw them earlier.
And a unit for Roland and Rodecki.
Yeah.
Hey, 2420 Frank 7267
And a unit for Roland and Ajax.
go from, that's what I have.
Flag Tacoma.
72 clear, 2023, Yoda pickup, lost 47743, 7743, lost first G out of LA. That 27 lost first G out of LA is suspended or revoked.
Henry 1.
Out of from the detention center.
Who is?
Hey, ma'am, over here, I got one detained. There's only 2 suspects, and the second one's still outstanding.
Copy the one that you were...
And the governor doesn't want them to be there. But part of the question, this is something I talked about with Governor Newsom earlier. Now they're here, you know, how can't we use them more effectively, or can't they be helpful? And he kind of didn't really take that premise. Yeah. But that is one of the things as we continue to look at live pictures. And you know, there's a lot of people that look at this and just wonder why, you know, why is sort of aimless lawlessness allowed? And is from a strategic perspective, does it make sense to try to cramp down on these people to send a message, or is that actually antagonize them even more, so you let them blow off their steam, get, you know, their stuff out of the system, and then
as long as they're not destructive,
they go home on their own.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
You know, that's from some of the question now.
Well, just a few hours ago, LAPD's police chief held a news conference to address all the disruption downtown and the police response. Chief Jim McDonald blamed the violence on a specific group.
When I look at the people who are out there doing the violence, that's not the people that we see during the day who are legitimately out there exercising their First Amendment rights and to be able to express their feelings about the immigration enforcement issue. These are people who are all hooded up. They've got a hoodie on. They've got face masks on. They're people who do this all the time. Get away with whatever they can. Go out there, you know, from one civil unrest situation to another, using the same or similar tactics frequently. And they are connected. Some would call them anarchists or by any other variety of names, but they're people that we run across routinely city to city, and this is what they do. So even more disgusting that many of the people who are doing this come in from other places just to hurt people.
McDonald also said LAPD does not get informed of federal law enforcement action before it happens, which means that the units are not able to pre-stage at potential trouble spots. He added the LAPD is legally prohibited from participating in any civil immigration action. That's the concept of a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. The Trump administration, Tom Hallman, says, we wish you guys weren't a sanctuary state, sanctuary city, and then we could coordinate it with you. Part of the reason we're not telling you about this is because we can't tell you about it, and we would rather coordinate with you. And so that is what the Trump administration says about this. And of course, California state leaders have chosen to not do that, with police leaders like Jim McDonald saying the sanctuary policy actually makes the community safer because it encourages people who may be victims of crime or know perpetrators of crime, who may be here undocumented, to have a relationship with the police and be able to work with them as compared to being afraid to come forward. And so that's been the rationale for the sanctuary policy for a long time.
For 45 years, according to the mayor, who pointed that out yesterday, indeed, because a lot of the narrative from the GOP, from the Trump administration, was about the last 4 years, meaning the Biden years. But she pointed out, no, we've been sanctuaries, city and state, for decades. Now, President Trump spoke to reporters about the National Guard and the Marines potentially being sent to L.A.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under fight at this auto pen.
What's the bar for sending Marines? The bar
is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
The president says there will be little to zero tolerance when it comes to troops and law enforcement officers being attacked.
So we continue to listen in to the very latest from Fox 11 LA, their coverage earlier on this Monday and, of course, Sunday night into Monday. And then you heard the very latest from President Donald Trump as he spoke to the media as it relates to the National Guard making its way to Los Angeles County for day 3 of those anti-ICE protests. Here at 4:30 on the East Coast, we are going to step aside for a quick break. We'll be right back.
These literal hotspots burning. This one on Main and Alameda, and the other one near the intersection of First and Spring Street. So still tensions rising high as individuals continue to set fires here in the downtown area.
Lakewood 132 boy release, handle 911B, 10917 Long Beach Boulevard at the AutoZone parking lot. Korea 998 containment, respond code 3 to CDC using Century Metro, contact 6.
Oh, oh no, oh no. Oh my gosh.
To use the military. So that's where he could send in troops. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, has suggested maybe troops coming in from Camp Pendleton to come to the streets of Southern California. And the thing that the governor was especially concerned about is this idea of those troops maybe being used for immigration purposes, essentially to round people up and deport them, which has never happened before, but could be a legal theory, a posse comitatus that could be...
Just for safety reasons.
LA 7 clear, Tom. Outbound should be clear, and intersection of the should be clear as well.
7 come off, for the intersection check. For 9 in Compton, reinforcement machinery for Compton.
Okay.
Would intensify the situation quite a bit. The president hasn't said that's what he's going to do. They haven't made that implicit threat yet, but in terms of the state of California's leadership, that is something that they're actively worried about and thinking about in terms of a strategy to respond to it.
And in the mere fact that Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, sort of made the suggestion that he put the Marines on high alert, that is in part what is stoking that concern. We're going to go back down to the ground, and Matthew Seedorf, he's right near City Hall. What's your situation now?
Yeah, it continues, this kind of standoff from a distance between LA Sheriff's deputies and agitators, those protesters on the other side of 1st Street. We just saw LAPD driving by. It looked like they were possibly chasing a car. It's hard to know for sure, but you can see their helicopter also circling the area with a spotlight pointed that direction. Anytime any of these protesters, these agitators try to get closer to City Hall, Sheriff's deputies immediately meet them with the heavy, strong flashlight. If they keep pushing forward, they'll tell them to turn around, go back, and then if they keep going further beyond that, they have those non-lethal. So really right now, LASD really trying to hold the line here at downtown LA outside of City Hall. Pretty bizarre sight. The Sheriff's Department really called in to help with the LA police tonight with all of this taking place across the city.
Yeah, indeed. It was early evening, Alex, when we started to see LA Sheriff's deputies in the downtown area helping with the LAPD. LAPD, even the chief says, is stretched thin. They're on tactical alert. And he warned residents that if you call for help with the police, unless it's life-threatening, chances are you'll wait. You'll have to wait because resources are stretched.
That's the danger in how this is impacting everybody, even if you're have nothing to do with this, don't care, don't want a part of it, staying away from downtown Los Angeles, and yet you have some incident that happens in your neighborhood. You may not get a cop coming there because largely these agitators are doing this and pulling law enforcement away. And it's, that's very unfortunate for the, the hardworking, taxpayer who's just trying to do the right thing in life.
And if they need help, it would be a shame if they were left wanting. All right, so you see there those traffic barricades, the A-line traffic barricades. A lot of the protesters have collected them. They have put up their own sort of, I don't know if you can call it a skirmish line, but some kind of barrier. One had a sign with an obscenity on it. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is there because opposite that same barrier is a law enforcement skirmish line. Excuse me. So, and we still are seeing a lot of fireworks being set off by those that are not law enforcement, like right there.
Yeah, and you worry that could hit people, and not a great night if you happen to have a condo or an apartment in downtown Los Angeles too, to be near this and to be hearing the sounds of all of this and all the rest of it, and it's tough. So they're right by, what we're looking at right now, just for some perspective, is this is right near City Hall, I think is what we're looking at here. We're near the LAPD headquarters as well, as we're looking at this fire engine moving in that direction. And so, there's a whole lot of government buildings that are right there in that area. There's courthouses, and that's where it seems to be the focus of a lot. At the top of your picture right now is the headquarters of the LAPD, so there's a whole lot of police officers there, and we'll see what these firefighters are doing. Are they gonna put out one of these fires on the street? Are they needed for some sort of rescue situation? It'll be interesting to watch them, and then you see the folks with that are armed there as well. Tense situation, tense night. I mean, so many times over the years, Susan, we have seen this particular area as sort of the heart, the center of where we've seen conflicts.
And that's not normal, by the way. The wire barricade there, that is not typically there. So they put that up in order to protect the main LAPD administration building and keep the protesters or the agitators out of that area. Meantime, as we're watching as these police officers officers, and you see the lime green, the fluorescent green barreled gun. That would be less than lethal type of rifle or gun. And then the firefighters that are heading towards, we're not quite sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they go. You know, those barricades.
So they're heading towards the building.
Have been, and maybe there's who knows, hopefully a police officer, somebody's not hurt. You know, those barricades have gone up before in sort of the most tense situations. I remember being there on the night of Occupy LA when they brought that down and they had the barricades up. We saw the barricades there during the George Floyd situation set up around LAPD headquarters because, as you would imagine, police headquarters is a target for a lot of these people, some of whom believe that not only should ICE be abolished, but that the police itself should be abolished. And then sometimes they have a different opinion when crime happens.
Yeah. Okay, coming.
Street, which is also a symbolic target that's often the focus of people that are trying to start something up in Los Angeles.
We just heard from Mayor Valls on the phone, but also earlier today she had a news conference responding to Trump's deployment of the National Guard. She says the city is already dealing with so much following January's deadly wildfires. Here's her response to a question.
Our city is still trying to recover from the wildfires, and you just think about how so many people were impacted by that. And that's an example of where the administration was helpful. And to go from that situation to where we are now is just really tragic.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. So after the wildfires, President Biden gave the FEMA emergency order, and President Trump has kept that. And I've talked to Governor Newsom, I've talked to Mayor Bass, I've talked to the supervisors, all these Democrats who have widely praised President Trump, said that he's been great to work with on the cleaning up of the wildfires. The Army Corps of Engineers has moved ahead of schedule. It's been a rare sort of bipartisan kumbaya triumph of at least that's working. You have all sorts of questions about the permitting and what comes next and some of the bureaucratic symbols, but in terms of clearing the junk out of there, that has worked really well, and everybody's praising the federal.
Any other traffic?
And so you wonder what that's going to mean for the money that still has not been allocated from a Republican Congress and a Republican president. And you also wonder...
But wait, let me just interject. Did you ask the governor? I thought you asked him that, whether there was any concern that that was going to affect his ability to get that.
We're going to have that interview in a few minutes. But yes, and he basically said, I don't know what else I can do. So
LAPD with a fire extinguisher, they're just going to move forward with their fire extinguisher and put this thing out. So apparently they felt it safe enough with their riot gear. You see that officer there with his baton trying to push a protester back there. It appears that they've made the assessment that individuals in this parking lot appear to be pretty calm and pretty docile, in addition to a number of press in the area. It appears that a lot of those people down there that aren't law enforcement.
Anti-ICE protests. We do have to step aside for a quick 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back.
Keeping an eye on, that's the intersection of Main and you're out everything that happened here today and over the weekend.
459.
That was south of City Hall at, I believe that was Main and I think it was Main and First Street. And we might be a little too far away with the buildings in a way here to get eyes on that group there, but there was a group of about 500 people down on that side. However, that group of protesters, they weren't really doing anything that LAPD deems to be a threat. So LAPD is really putting their focus on the protesters on the north side that continue to set up barricades. They really don't want anybody to dig their heels in and set up barricades or anything of that sort, because the longer barricades get put in place, the more they get fortified by other pieces of trash and other pieces of metal that these individuals find, the harder it will be for LAPD to deal with it later on. That's the, looks like that's the Spring Street Bridge that CHP now has been able to contain. And I think if we pan to the left, Rob, there, we'll be able to see the Los Angeles Street Bridge, and that's the bridge where a lot of protesters were throwing items down onto the freeway below. And you see that CHP vehicle on a tow truck. That CHP vehicle probably going to be a complete loss. It was actually set on fire earlier. As people on the bridge above were lighting pieces of cardboard on fire and throwing them down to the vehicles below. So that CHP vehicle actually caught on fire a little bit before CHP officers were able to move in with a fire extinguisher and put it out. But while we were zoomed in there, you were able to see a lot of debris just spread across the lanes of the southbound 101 freeway. So it's going to be a big cleanup here.
King 1 of ID 10-4, 14th Business Imperial, asking for their code 4.
Copy. Well, they don't want the barricades. Yeah.
Liquid 133,
Wow.
someone handle any unit to assist on a possible 920 9512 Park. Park's daughter ran away from home overnight. Has a history of running away and turned off phone. No known possible location. No history of mental health or medication. Tag 8. Unit to assist. Yeah, you can't shoot it though. We did see the guy with the flamethrower being taken into custody. Oh, like 30? 30. Yeah, copy that. Just barring weather. It's holding high enough for now, but we're just keeping an eye on it. Copy. Oh. Gas station. Such a big crowd that was pushed further north, and I'm trying to monitor a few different things here to see why people are running. But the crowd had been further to the south on Main Street, south of Cesar Chavez Avenue, that intersection you're seeing right there. And LAPD continued to push that crowd further north. So now you're just seeing the crowd just kind of scatter in a lot of different directions. So a couple people went to the gas station. We didn't see any signs of looting or anything like that in that particular store right there. So that's definitely some good news. But the concern obviously is individuals that continue to make barricades, such as this one there on the right side of your screen, that's been, as you said, fortified with a couple of dumpsters and a wrought iron fence. We've seen an item set on fire there next to that fence, but it appears that fire may be out as of right now. So LAPD is trying to avoid situations like this, but they're also taking into account all of the resources that they are pouring into the area, and they have been pouring into the area, and they're trying to figure out a way to balance those resources. So they are not at this time making a push further north to knock down that barricade as they had been with previous barricades. They're just kind of holding the scene as it stands right now, maybe to have a little bit of a respite, have a little bit of a calm, regroup, and then figure out the next move. You see the Night Sun from the LAPD helicopter that is over the scene here. We've seen the Super Puma Rescue 5 helicopter. That's the big LA County Sheriff's helicopter here at the scene as well. They've been helping law enforcement keep an eye on things. That parking, that paid-up park structure at the center of your screen was set on fire earlier, but LAPD actually moved in with a fire extinguisher, and they were able to put that fire out. We were talking about an individual, possibly with a flamethrower, that set fire to a couple of trees there on Main Street, just south of Cesar Chavez. We did see an individual that LAPD believes to be the individual with that flamethrower taken into custody. So that person has been arrested at this time, and LAPD is going to figure out what to charge that person with, obviously for having a flamethrower and using it on city streets. That will be very serious charges. And you can see here that's Main Street and Cesar Chavez, and that's where a large contingent of LAPD is staging at this time while they figure out their next move. I want to ask Rob to widen out the shot. Let's look to the south of City Hall, because that's where another group of protesters was located about 30 minutes ago, and we haven't been able to see them for a few minutes now because we've been focused on the group to the north, and there was about 500 people down there to the south. It appears that that crowd may have more or less dispersed at this time and maybe gone their separate ways on Spring and First Street, as you can see right there. So LAPD kind of breathing a sigh of relief as far as the south side of their the area that they're kind of watching right now. But you still have a multi-block area of downtown LA in and around City Hall, I should say, that LAPD is keeping an eye on. You have that scene at the center of your screen, which may become a crime scene, more or less, the lanes of the southbound 101 freeway, where people were throwing pieces of concrete and bicycles and bird scooters and signs from that Los Angeles Street overpass onto the street below. You see all of that debris there. You see a number of those highway patrol cars, and I think, yeah, those are all highway patrol cars down there. You see that they're parked under the overpass, and that's because the ones that weren't parked under the overpass were heavily damaged by items thrown by people on the bridge. And LAPD, the reason why they moved north to begin with was they had to clear that bridge to prevent further damage to those patrol cars down below. You see one of them on a flatbed tow truck. That is the car that was pretty much set on fire earlier, but CHP officers were able to get in there with a fire extinguisher and put out the majority of the fire before it was completely destroyed. But that's going to be a vehicle that's probably going to be a total loss. And you see all that debris there in lanes. That's going to take a while to clean up, and as I said, probably a little bit of a investigation to figure out you know, what charges to file against the people who threw a piece of concrete down there onto the freeway. Those are the southbound lanes of the 101 as you approach the 5 freeway. So still a few prongs of action here that LAPD is keeping an eye on, but it appears, at least for the past 20 or 25 minutes, that we're entering a little bit of a moment of calm while LAPD kind of regroups and figure out what their next move is going to be. Yeah.
Some over this way, and also just a traffic mess in the area, given everything that's happening. But again, looks like something's on fire again in the middle of the street. That was out for a little while, but it looks like it's back on fire. Go ahead, send it back to you.
Well, they were able to start it up again. It was out for a while, and they were able to start it up again. Did you, Matthew, did you by chance notice, you're not far from the LAPD main administration building, and we watched as a fire truck came in and a number of LAPD patrol cars. I thought perhaps they were going to be dispatched closer to where that fire is, but instead they made a turn to the south and perhaps went into the administration building, or certainly into that the compound or the campus that is the LAPD administration area. But from where you're a little too far back, did you see anything at all?
I'm looking towards LAPD headquarters. We see a fire truck out front, possibly right now. We did see a bunch of police cars go in that direction, but it's so hard to tell what exactly is going on from our vantage point with everything else that's going on around us. Again, you can see the agitators, the protesters with those street barricades kind of trying to figure out what to do, essentially. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can see they're just kind of walking around with them right now. So
there's not much of a mob mentality if the mob's been sort of dispersed. So then, you know, who's designing this strategy?
Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of strategy. And
no.
It doesn't. Okay, now we're looking from Skyfox. It looks like
that looks like a vehicle is on fire.
Yeah, maybe we can take that picture full. Matthew, thank you. We'll go back to you. This is quite a fire that's happening. I'm trying to get an exact sense of where this is.
Yeah, location.
Looks like we're near downtown Los Angeles. Yeah, that is.
Oh, that could be the original trash dumpster that was on fire earlier, but now it's fully engulfed, as they say in fire speak.
A dumpster fire is a very appropriate thing to be describing this last few days in Southern California, and now we literally have a dumpster fire.
Jackson and Center so. Are we looking? What is lit up to the right? That's not a stadium, is it? Like a high school football stadium?
It looks like it may be. It looks more like train tracks, or possibly there, or some sort of industrial complex that we're looking at. This is sort of towards the outskirts, I think, of downtown Los Angeles, as we're looking now at some of the bridges. And it looks, at least at this hour, the good news is that the freeway traffic seems to be moving smoothly, which was not the case that we saw earlier. But some of these roads, like the one here, we see a big law enforcement presence making themselves be known. And it's interesting where they choose to deploy and where they don't.
What's atop the sheriff's patrol cars?
Are those ways? Yeah, I haven't quite seen that exactly before.
No, and it's a part of like a truck.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that is. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a slight break away from what's going on downtown. Yeah. Despite the fact we'll keep a little bit of an eye on it, but we do want to get to some weather. Adam Kruger is here. And Adam, you know, what is the work week looking like?
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I'd like to compliment your coverage. First of all, you guys are doing great. And I've been watching along with everyone at home at what's playing out.
All right, so our content partners over at Fox 11 LA transitioning and stepping away to cover their latest weather-related headlines. So we're going to step away for our first 2-minute commercial break.
Well, looks like a cylinder of some kind and some metal pallets. They appear to have been piled up here at the intersection of Spring and First Street. And the LAPD is nearby, but they're not too close. They're kind of letting this be for now. Their efforts are still focused on the situation on the north side, and I'm looking up north of Cesar Chavez and Main Street, and I see another little fire burning there earlier where we were watching those individuals that set up that blockade. And you can kind of see as we pan over from south of City Hall, as we continue panning to the left, Rob, a little further down to the north of where that gas station is, you can see there this new, not a new fire, but it is definitely a fire that has been coaxed accordingly, and it looks like they've there's a lot of cardboard in that dumpster, and individuals have set that dumpster ablaze. So you now have two bonfires, if you will, illegal bonfires burning in streets here in downtown LA. And LAPD at this point has taken this time to regroup their forces and figure out which one they want to tackle at this time. But you have an individual with drums there, you have this dumpster ablaze, you have another little cylinder there on the ground also ablaze. And as these fires continue, LAPD is going to have to decide which one to tackle, because at least at this time they don't have the resources in place to take one or the other, unless they really coordinate that and really focus on sending a skirmish line to the north and sending another skirmish line to the south. You're going to have these two separate kind of hot spots, these literal hot spots burning, this one on Main and Alameda, and the other one near the intersection of First and Spring Street. So still tensions rising high as individuals continue to set fires here in the downtown area. Oh, oh no, oh no. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Follow. Making a right turn. Oh my gosh. Olvera Street. Olvera Street. Yeah. He stopped. Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you could hear me. LAPD is aware of this individual, but I'm not sure if they really know what to do. Well, I was going to say he appeared to be trapped in that area with those blockades, and now he's flying down Main Street back to where that blockade is at an extremely high rate of speed, slamming on the brakes now. This is Cesar Chavez and Main Street, and there's so many people just out walking around right now. I don't know if he's going to slow down before he gets to this barricade. You see some people running. We're a little bit blocked right now because we can't see what's going on the other side of that building. So I'm not sure if this guy in the vehicle stopped or okay, not him. So we just kind of saw this.
In this moment.
Oh, that Donald Trump is reckless. He's immoral. He's taken the illegal and unconstitutional act of federalizing the National Guard, and he's putting lives at risk.
I mean, is it truly unconstitutional? I know it's been done before.
Well, I mean, in his own executive order, it directs the Department of Defense to collaborate with state governors. So by definition, it's illegal. There was no collaboration. There was no counsel, no consideration of the rules of engagement. It was a reckless act that has led to conditions that have been exacerbated, and it's putting people's lives at risk.
So can't he declare an insurrection and go forward with this?
Yeah, he potentially can, and there's latitude. But as it relates to the actual language in his executive order, there's a reason we're going to court tomorrow, and the reason we're confident that we will succeed. That said, he's pushing now out the boundaries, whether or not we're going to get into posse comitatus, and whether or not he's going to test the theories in that case to then require the state National Guard in a federalized posture to coordinate and collaborate with ICE enforcement, which certainly would not have a precedent in 100+ years.
You think that's going to happen?
I think we're on the precipice of that being a real possibility. I have zero confidence. He's acting recklessly. He's acting unlawfully. He's putting people's lives at risk. And it's my job to clean up Donald Trump's mess because he's making it by the hour.
You guys talked the other night, right?
Yes, we did.
What was that conversation like?
It was a very collaborative conversation. It was a very good conversation. And he didn't really want to engage on the issues of LA, which was the great irony of this. He wanted to talk about a myriad of other issues. There was no suggestion, none, period, full stop, about the National Guard. Quite the contrary. And by the way, I have a lot of experience with the National Guard. So do you here in LA.
Right.
We've been using the National Guard. I've directed the National Guard down here prior as it relates to issues during 2020 riots. And so we have no ideological opposition of utilizing the Guard, but there's zero necessity. There was no request of mutual aid. LAPD, the Sheriff's Office, no request. CHP, more than capable. We've got 175 CHP off today because of what Donald Trump did with the National Guard.
But we see some of the images in the streets today. We see cars burning. We see freeways being shut down. We see
unacceptable.
But it's clear that things aren't totally under control right now.
That's right, because he's created the conditions. Yeah. He's exacerbated the conditions. This is Donald Trump's. These are images that Donald Trump created.
You think he wants it politically?
Of course he wants it politically.
Why?
Because he wants to divide us. He wants to attack the rule of law. He wants to attack the democracy. He wants to attack the best of what makes this country. The reasons our founding fathers lived and died. This fundamental notion of three independent branches, he can't handle. He's already taken over. Speaker Johnson's a joke. He's completely complicit. $2.5 trillion to your debt, wrecking the economy. Take Elon Musk's comments on that, just not mine. I mean, it's been a disastrous presidency. And so, of course, we're here with another distraction that puts, in this case, people's lives at risk. And he's testing the boundaries of the Constitution in a way that one can clearly argue is a constitutional crisis.
So how do you negotiate with somebody who may want these images?
You can't negotiate with them. Come on, no one can negotiate with him. I mean, no one can. I've gone out of great lengths trying to work with this guy. You can't work with him. You can only work for him, and I'll never work for him. And it's shameful, those that are, and that are complicit in this, and that are rolling over. And as I said, the Founding Fathers are rolling over in their graves right now watching this.
Do you, because the other night, or he came out and said that when you guys spoke, he warned you that if you didn't get things under control, he was going to bring in troops.
Stone cold liar. Stone cold liar. He made that up. Like he makes up so many other things. He never said that.
And he also seemed to make up this idea that the National Guard did a great job last night when they weren't here.
They weren't even deployed, and he claimed victory. He's lost it. He hasn't lost a step. And I saw him trip on the steps today. I mean, this is serious. He is not the same person that I dealt with just 4 years ago. And he's incapable now of even a train of thought. He's making things up, and he's putting people's lives at risk. And he's got a band of people that are complicit in this. And that's what's so damn alarming. And we need Congress to step up, and my gosh, do we need the courts.
But now that the National Guard are here, is there some good that they can do? I mean, those folks, there's a lot of great folks.
They haven't even been mission taxed appropriately. Yeah. There's only 300 of them.
Is there anything they can do to help you?
These are great men and women. Yeah. I work with them all the time. We've all worked. They've been well received by the community down here. We know these folks. We care about these folks. And I worry about them now. I worry about their safety. He's putting their safety at risk. He doesn't know what he's doing. They don't know what they're doing right now. I mean, I got the CRT teams, like I said, the best and the brightest CHP that are trained for this. By the way, if you're going to use the right National Guard, use the MPs that were out there doing the work here in terms of logistics and traffic management.
Right.
But he didn't even use that.
For the fires.
Those folks for the fires.
Right.
I mean, this proves it's just political game that puts people's lives at risk. So it's not a game.
I assume that you believe in immigration law and that there needs to be a way for these folks to carry out some
We
of
have
these.
never gone the way. State of California does not get in the way of federal actions using federal resources. I've also collaborated with the federal government and vetoed bills that would compel me not to over 10,000 times. 10,000 times from CDCR. We've coordinated with ICE on deportation. I am not sitting here arguing for criminals in our backyard. And I just want to remind your viewers, we have 394 National Guard down at the border that I've had there for years and years and years. Of course, we believe in immigration rules and laws. And of course, we were very vocal on the issue of borders. I think you and I went down 4 or 5 times on the border in events over the last 5 years. We are not passive in this space.
But when we have seen agitators getting in the way of some of these ICE agents who are trying to do their job.
Hey, these sort of anarchists.
What should happen to them?
They should be arrested.
Yeah.
They should be called out. We condemn that destruction of personal property. These groups come in. They have nothing to do with these peaceful protesters. These poor peaceful protesters. These guys come in to take advantage of these moments, and that's exactly what we knew would happen. That's exactly what Trump knew was going to happen. That's exactly what his team knows. They helped create these conditions to inflame them. This is Donald Trump's mess. What you see in your nightly news is Donald Trump's making, and we've got to clean up this mess. If he can't do it, we're going to have to do it.
It was interesting, a statement you put out reminded me, I'm reading Jonathan Ives' book about Martin Luther King, and he always tried to tell people, protest peacefully. You're throwing, basically you said that if you go out and do violence at this point, you are giving Donald Trump what he wants.
You're handing it to him. So stop. These guys, these idiots that are jumping up on cars, that are burning these Waymos, these people, that's a disgrace. And the impact they're having on our democracy, there's a lot at risk here. I mean, this is not just a simple act of disobedience. They should be arrested. They should be held accountable. Anyone who attacks any innocent person, including a law enforcement person that's lawfully doing their job, they're members of our community just like everybody else. They go to the same churches. They're good human beings. And, you know, just because we don't like Donald Trump, just because we don't like their orders, doesn't mean you have the right to hurt or harm people. And that goes for them as well. And we'll hold them, everybody, to a higher level of accountability. But that's not what Trump is after. He's not for peacemaking. He's here for war. He wants a civil war on the streets of America, not just here. He's testing the boundaries by nationalizing the federal guard. Heck, his own great Kristi Noem was just a year ago sitting there with newsmaker Sean Hannity saying it's outrageous that Biden is considering nationalizing the guard in my great state. Kristi Noem, the same Kristi Noem, saying, what about state sovereignties and state rights? And where the hell is Hannity now? Where the hell is Kristi Noem? They're out there just singing the siren songs of chaos, trying to sow chaos and putting our democracy at risk. These are acts of authoritarians. Period, full stop.
So what you're saying and what he's saying, very heated rhetoric. How do we cool this down? How do we get things to calm down? How do we get the streets at this point to be safe?
Donald Trump needs to rescind his order. Period. And then we need to go back to a process where we peacefully protest, where law enforcement peacefully organizes safe parameters of engagement, or at least parameters of engagement that keep people safe. That federal authorities have the right to enforce federal laws, but in a way that can be at least coordinated so that it's not chaotic, and that keeps families together and goes after the criminals, not innocent people that are just trying to live their damn lives and just trying to get their kids educated.
What do you say to critics who say you may have poked the bear by threatening to withhold California's tax money?
This was after he said he was going for a full-scale attack on the university system and cutting NSF funding and cutting NIH funding, poking the bear. Are you kidding? I mean, standing up for principles, standing up for honor and decency, standing up for the rule of law, poking the bear. Come on.
And lastly, there's a lot of people who are scared right now, especially a lot of people who are Latino who are here legally, who are worried they may be taken away. That's a huge percentage of California's population.
Well, I mean, it goes to 40% of the population.
What do you say?
We're a majority minority state. 27% of the state's foreign-born. All these mixed status families.
What's your message to those people today?
They matter and we care. And that's why we're being so aggressive right now, pushing back against these authoritarian tendencies of Donald Trump. That's why we're standing tall with 22 lawsuits. That's why we did a special session. And you guys, many of you called me out as, it's too extreme. Shouldn't you be working with Donald Trump during his transition when I called that special session? And we've used those resources to file over 22 lawsuits. We're filing more as we speak. And that included, by the way, $50 million that we set aside, or $25 million specifically for legal aid to help these families, so that we had their back, because we knew something would happen. But I gotta say, I never expected Donald Trump to do this and to create the conditions that we're seeing today, and threaten to make him even worse by bringing in the military.
The preceding was a rebroadcast of Fox 11 News at 10.
All right, and we appreciate Fox 11 LA for that.
Someone shot there.